What's going on, YouTube? House of the Boogeyman. Back at it. We're going to do another video. After settling down a bit, watching the film for a second time. I'm not saying it's the ending I wanted for the trilogy, but it's not a bad movie, all in all. This video I want to do, it's going to be somewhere close to at least 10 questions. Should make at least 8. But I have in mind right now 10 questions that are basically unanswered in this franchise, in this series of this new David Gordon Green timeline. The first thing, I did not like that opening title sequence at all. I think that could have been used in the film within the first 10 minutes of the film, not as an opening credit. It's not an opening Halloween scene. But the first thing that I really am complaining with this film is it's the opening scene is based in 2019, only 1 year from the events of Halloween Kills. So you got to ask yourself, would Michael Myers, with Michael Myers still on the loose, without a trace, just a year later from the events of Halloween Kills 2019, would Haddonfield be celebrating Halloween? Would they be getting babysitters and going out to the bar and, you know, having their kids home with babysitters when Michael Myers, a babysitter killer, is still on the loose in Haddonfield just under a year on Halloween, when he comes out on Halloween for babysitters? I get it. They changed it up. They had Corey, you know, be the killer, you know, for a substitute as Myers, you know, to start the film. Obviously a main, you know, narrative of the film, but it was definitely different. The second thing that I really want to touch on is what really stood out to me was how in that opening scene the mother talked about how Jeremy was, you know, hearing voices in his head. Is that because of Michael? You know, is that the effect that Michael Myers has on the town of Haddonfield? You know, because in Halloween 6, it was similar thing where Michael heard voices in his head to kill Judith. That was stated in Halloween 6. But we never really got any other answer to that after his mother said, you know, yeah, Jeremy hears voices. Kind of like in the opening scene where Hawkins, you know, is at this, all the crime scenes of all these different murders, and, you know, some of the other officers are wondering, hey, you know, is Michael back? Is it Michael? And, you know, he says Michael doesn't use guns, you know. So it's basically like, was Haddonfield, was some of the people in Haddonfield inspired by Michael in a way, or did they have that a power within them themselves, you know, to go out and commit murder and do some of the things they were doing with all the crime rate at its highest in Haddonfield? You know, there's a new, you know, there's a killer in town that just got away with, you know, murder. It's just interesting. It's an interesting thought on it all, because there was never anything further after, you know, Jeremy's mom saying, you know, he heard voices, and, you know, it's very interesting. I think about back in the film, one of my favorite parts in the entire film, probably is my favorite part of the entire film. I just can't get enough watching it. I'm obsessed with this part of the film where Corey, you know, makes his way into the cave, obviously after these band geeks bully him, you know, and he ends up getting pushed off the, you know, the part of the bridge, and ends up going into that cave, well, getting pulled into that cave, as a matter of fact. Was, you know, was that Michael pulling him in, is, you know, probably question number 4. Um, was that Michael, or was that a force, pulling him in? Because we didn't see, Michael's hands pulling, physically pulling Corey in. Um, the Myers, we know, if he pulled anybody into that cave, he'd have killed him immediately. He wouldn't have waited for him to wake up from being unconscious. Um, and then, obviously he walks down there. Michael grabs him up. Is that where, the power was transformed from Michael to Corey? I mean, it's unanswered. His life flashes before his eyes, and he runs out of that tunnel, and it's just one of the best parts of the whole movie. I love that part of the movie. The score, John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, very well done, very well put together by David Gordon Green. Very, very effective. Can't get enough of that part. I actually found myself going back on YouTube and rewatching that scene. It's kind of grainy, so I actually put the movie back on and fast forward it to that part because I'm like obsessed with that part. But it just, so many questions. And with the hobo, that it makes you wonder with the hobo as well. Most homeless guys are pretty calm, collective, not bothering anybody, just maybe bothering you for some money here and there, but not as violent. I mean, yeah, you can't speak for every damn homeless guy there is, but it seemed like towards the beginning of the movie he was chilled, but then, later on in the movie, I'm Michael Myers, go in there and, get me that mask, that's what he said. Excuse me. Had to have a little morning coffee. But, the old man, he just, Corey had no choice but to fight back for his life at that point to get his first kill. But, the old guy would have killed him. So, again, is that like this power that Michael kind of has over the whole town of Haddonfield? It kind of, in a way, it feels that way with Allison. Even she, like, that's another question. Like, why is Allison, falling for Corey so easily? Is it because, it's been 4 years since Cameron died and she's lonely, or is it that she's attracted to evil because that's what she, has been around, and death, and for the last 4 years? There's a lot of questions, because when now picking back up after Corey killed the homeless guy, went home, cleaned himself up. Well, he ends up showing up at Allison's, and he straight up asked her, did you survive Michael Myers, or did he let you live? And right there, that question should have raised an eyebrow, to Allison. Like, he's a hot mess. She basically regards the whole fact that Michael could still be alive. She just ignores the whole conspiracy that, that Michael is still alive. Not a conspiracy, but just the whole, I mean, obviously he's seen something. Myers is on his mind, and she just ignores the whole thing. It kind of makes you wonder if she knew that Michael was still out there herself, but she had a thing for evil herself. It's very, very interesting concept. There's a lot of answers to this trilogy that I don't think we'll get. It's almost like for the next unanswered question is, when Michael and Corey are out that night and they kill the rich couple, did Corey get his full strength, power, Michael Myers like power, right then and there after he took the bandage off and, got his power. That's what it appears. But if Michael is just human, like they said in 2018, before David Gordon Green wrote this trilogy, they said that Michael was gonna basically be human. He wasn't gonna have the supernatural aspect to him anymore. So and it makes you wonder if that's true. How did he survive what he survived and withstand in Halloween Kills? I get it. 4 years is a long time for anyone to not, move or come out of an area. I mean, he's gonna limp a little bit. If he's human, he's not gonna get around, and he's not gonna be at full strength. But it appeared when, here's question number 8. When Corey brought, or lured in, I should say, Officer Mulaney to the tunnel for Michael to kill, it sure seemed like Michael was getting his powers back, but then again, if he's just human, maybe he was just excited to kill again, and he felt like he could really be what he was 4 years prior. There's a lot of questions that I don't know if we'll get the answer to, but it's clear that that's kind of how it was, and that's maybe why they had to go the route they did when they ended it and dispose of the body the way they did, because he could have came back, being that he's definitely was superhuman as it was. It's just really an interesting concept, interesting theories. But those are just some of the questions I had, and I hope some of us can kind of come together and figure out an explanation for all this and make a little more sense out of what we were given. I don't think it was a bad movie, but I don't think it was the finale that we've kind of been waiting to see with Michael and Laurie. It was a good battle at the end. I wish we could have seen a little more, but and I do like the Corey character. I feel like they could have let the Corey character live on, and tell another story. It felt more like an anthology than a final Halloween film, and that's why we see a lot of the comparisons to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which I can see that. And I will say that the fans that will like this movie and appreciate this movie are the fans that like and appreciate Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. The fans that aren't into Season of the Witch, they're probably not going to like this movie because they want Michael Myers. They want to see more Michael Myers. And you got to think, if he's human in this storyline, he's 65 years old. You can't really expect him to go on for too much more longer if he is human. But that's the big question here. There is something more to him. Was he feeding off, energy and power and evil, infected, like Allison's looked at Corey's hand when they were, out that night on the roof. She says infected with evil, or she more likely meant that his hand was infected, but there's more to it, and I think a lot of it's buried and coded in this film. And I think if you can really see what David Gordon Green and them were trying to do, I think you'd appreciate it more for what it is. I enjoyed the film, but it's not the closure and the final battle that I wanted to see between Michael and Laurie. And there's a lot of questions, even going back to Halloween Kills, where Laurie and Hawkins were, in the hospital together, and the movie was coming to a close, and Karen was getting, diced up by Michael at the time, and Hawkins says, "If we only knew now what we knew then, what exactly does that mean? What did that really mean?" You know, that's a big question that I don't think we really got any answers to in Halloween Ends. And it kind of just left us hanging as far as some of these questions and some of these relationships that we had in Halloween Kills that we never got more to that we wanted. Hence Hawkins and Laurie. And there's many things about this movie that I thought could have been different, but I'll save that for another video. As far as the ending of the film, it makes you wonder why Laurie would want Michael's mask after everything she's been through. I feel that they could have left the mask on him to get crushed, honestly. If anything, and what does the ending of that movie mean, and what's the future for this franchise? I want to know how you guys felt about the film, what you like, what you didn't like. I'll probably throw in another video here shortly about at least 3 to 5 things that I really liked about Halloween Ends, and 3 to 5 things that I really disliked. And I could probably pick a few more, but that'll probably be my next physical, video as far as me talking to some of you of my followers. Thank you. And then I'll probably put out a ranking of my Halloween films, ranked, just my opinion on how I rank them. It's always nice, and I know how it is. I love to watch everybody's rankings and videos, so I figure why not do mine. And I'll also have another unboxing coming tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. It is Halloween related, and I think you're really going to enjoy that. And that's just the start of many more throughout the season. With this season coming up, I really am excited for some things for this channel. So if you're not subscribed already, subscribe, and we'll have a bunch more horror content. And follow me on Instagram for a bunch of cosplay coming. The Boogeyman 1978 and House of the Boogeyman signing off. Let me know below, how do you feel about the new film, and where do you think the franchise is headed from here? Thanks for watching.